didn't have a degree of the PhD at that time. So he decided take a course at the college. And do you know what? What kind of the degree he got? He got a medical doctor. Do you know why? He said medical world has the most unknown world. There's a lot of things human being cannot solve. Therefore, there's unlimited needs of the diagnostics, measurement, analysis in the medical world. That's why he said he wants to study medical, and then he become a medical doctor. Not a physician. He is academic medical PhD, but that's why he explained to us. He introduced me as an automotive person. Look at the automotive, EV, electric vehicle. Do you know what's the issue now? Issue is heat management, thermal management. How to utilize the heat coming up from the battery and how to control the battery temperature. Because if you try to charge the car, battery need to be in a certain temperature. Otherwise, you cannot charge. So if you drive the electric vehicle very fast, then start charging, you cannot charge it. You need to wait until cool it down. So thermal management is a key for the human being. I mean, electric vehicle. But look at human being. Even you run 43 kilometers in 2 hours, your temperature stay plus minus 1 degree of 37 degrees. This is really amazing. This is really amazing for the mechanical or electrical world. But human being is able to manage this much energy and still keep the temperature. That much mystery is in our body. Of course, we are trying to analyze those, and come up with a way to solve some of the diseases, sickness. But there's a lot of unknown sickness we cannot solve yet. So Horiba is scientific company. Horiba is not a medical company. That's what I wanted to know. Horiba has a good scientific technologies. We are not a pure medical diagnostic company. But if Horiba can utilize the technology we have for the various fields, we could bring the diagnostic to the next level. That's what we are targeting. India is very good country to work with because you have a lot of different diagnostic disease or people. So by knowing those phenomena or the samples, we can find out how to diagnose which disease may show this kind of the result on this testing, and help you to solve the issue, help you to give the right medicine to the patient. That's what the Horiba is trying to do. So my message, Horiba is not medical diagnostic company. Horiba is scientific company. We bring all the technology into this field to solve all the issue human being has. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Saito-san. Thank you. We will truly take down this message of Horiba being a scientific company, the belief system, the thought system. And of course, HONMAMON, real. Ladies and gentlemen, this real belief turned into reality. And that's a journey that many of you have also witnessed with us because of the resilience, because of the passion of each and every Horibian. This journey has been incredible. We have stood past the test of time. And today, from nowhere to somewhere, and from somewhere to everywhere, Horiba shines. And we want you to sit back and we want you to go through this small journey, which truly is close to our hearts. Sit back, enjoy this one before we go further. Can we have it, please?
We are about to embark on a journey of discoveries and innovations. As the world progressed, new technologies in hematology evolved around us and became the driving force of the future, adapting cutting-edge technologies and expanding our solutions to clinical chemistry and hemostasis, uncovering limitless potential and endless possibilities. We at HONMAMON seized this opportunity, achieving remarkable success through collaborations and a cohesive alliance. Today, we stand at a pivotal point, ready to explore far and beyond, inspiring one another to spread our wings to immunology and take a plunge towards new horizons, scaling new heights. In an era of rapidly evolving technologies and innovations, we strive to pioneer new frontiers and bring diverse solutions for a greater tomorrow.
What an incredible journey indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Every breakthrough, every innovation that we have been doing in the past has only brought us closer to even a brilliant future. And today, as we have already spilled the beans in the field of immunology, we make and mark a new future, a new innovation, and once again, continuing with our pursuit of excellence, creating sustainable and innovative solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed our pleasure that each one of you is here going to be a witness as we once again create the future on this very spot. It is my pleasure once again to invite Saito-san and Dr. Gautam to please join me on either sides of the rooms and unleash this potential that we are going to be bringing to the future of immunology, ladies and gentlemen, together with each one of you being a witness to being history created. As I invite both you fine gentlemen to unleash that power and launch this true revolution on the count of 3, 2, 1. Please place your palms and unleash the future.
Introducing automated chemiluminescence immunoassay analyzer, Umizen M300. One cartridge, one test concept. Easy to use, 3-step operation. Compatible for whole blood, serum, and plasma samples. Rapid results as fast as 13.5 minutes. Continuous loading. Coming up next, point of care, 3-part hematology analyzer with CRP, microsemi CRP 767G. Point of care.
Woo!
CBC
Ladies and gentlemen, make that
plus
noise. Come on.
DIFF plus CRP analyzer. Only 18 microliter whole blood single sampling for CBC and CRP. Quantitative CBC plus CRP in 4 minutes. Digital calibration for CRP. Wide range CRP with linearity of 200 mg per liter. Inflammation, infection differentiator.
Let us give it a round of applause. A big one, ladies and gentlemen. Make in India, of course, is the shining light that we wanted to showcase to you. So we give it to you. Brilliant 2 products that the industry had been waiting for, once again showcasing our continued passion and towards excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, power, precision, and performance in these 2 revolutionary products is the theme of the moment. We are sure that we are ready to create a revolution in this industry. Do you agree? Yes, no? Brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we also would like to invite you for a demonstration, which will be at a later point of time in our next break. But right now, we will get into a short panel discussion, which will also briefly cover about the products and more. So I will invite once again Simran to please join us on stage and introduce us to our eminent personalities in the panel and the moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Simran once again, please. All right, I think while we have Simran, who shall be probably joining us at a later point of time, let me take this opportunity to invite our panelist and our moderator to take up this next session. You see, this next panel is titled as Diagnostic Equity, the role of chemistry and immunoassay platforms in reaching the last mile. Ladies and gentlemen, let me invite on stage Dr. Anil Handu, Director, Lab Services, Academics and Research for Max Healthcare Institute Limited, BLK Super Speciality Hospital, New Delhi, to moderate this session. Thank you, sir, for taking out time and helping us here. Let me now welcome our esteemed industry expert, our panelists, to please join in. Dr. Parag Dharap. Dr. Parag. If I would also, please keep your hands rolling, ladies and gentlemen. We immensely thank each one of them. Dr. Ajay Gupta, Dr. Rajiv Rao, Dr. Aparna Jairam, Dr. Nitin Dayal, Dr. Biswajit Mohanty, Dr. Gurpreet Kaur Thiara. If I could invite each one of you, and we once again thank you immensely for being here with us and sharing your knowledge with us. Please join us in. As the previous panel discussion was truly insightful and thought-provoking, we are very sure that this one, again, is going to be a powerful panel discussion. So, over to you, Dr. Saab. It's all yours, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks a ton. I'm really not sure whether I'll be able to conduct and hold it just as the way you do. But nevertheless, I think what I'll do initially is leave my panelists around and first talk to you all with a quiz. So what are the two things which drive India as a nation? And Saito-san was actually impressed with the way he was introduced, right? So keeping that in mind, what are the two things which drive our nation as on today? Come again? Unity in diversity, yes. But I was looking at it as something more catchy. We just made Pakistan lose a cricket match. So cricket is something which is there in our blood, isn't it? Cricket, guys, come on. Yes or no? Yes. And what is the other one? Yes, somebody said it. Bollywood. Oh my God, look at that. So when you look at Bollywood and you look at cricket, these are our two driving forces, aren't they? Okay, that was not the real quiz which I wanted to ask you all. What did I want to ask you? Tell me, what are your pain points today when you talk about the antigen-antibody reaction? What are your pain points? The immunoassays. By a raise of hand, anyone? Time taken, one. Anything else? No, not you guys, come on. You guys know the answers. Heterophile antibody, okay, something very interesting. Beyond Bollywood, Hollywood, I guess. What else? Come again? Cross-reactivity, wonderful. What else?
Variability of results across different platforms.
Fantastic. Variability of results across various platforms. Very good. What else? Specificity, sensitivity of the methodology. Wonderful. What else? We still have not come there. Somebody said it. Cost per test. Okay, that's something which pinches you all the time, isn't it? You're more worried about what is it going to cost me? And what else you have a biggest challenge with respect to immunoassays? Well, that's something I can't help. You know, we have to teach them just as the way we're teaching everyone else. But what is affecting us the most is running them as a batch, isn't it? You're not able to start a test just because you have just 3 tests to do per day, isn't it? So what if I give you something which is going to obviate, if not all, most of these issues which we just discussed? So with that background, I'll just get into the panel discussion straight away. And as we just discussed, we've come a long way as far as the immunoassays are concerned. We've moved from a classical ELISA-based testing to what is called a fluorescence-based testing today. And even in that, we now say eCLIA and stuff like that, isn't it? And we also talk about cartridge-based testing today, where we're talking about how we can just perform one single test and give the shortest possible turnaround time to the patient on the other hand. Okay, so with that backdrop, I would come to you first, Dr. Parag. What are the key factors that you would consider when you're going for choosing an analyzer? And I specifically removed the word automation because I don't want you to automate. I first want you to tell me, how will you choose your analyzer for immunoassays? How will you prioritize yourself in picking up which one you will? And how will you eventually ensure quality in all that?
So frequently I see that people go behind want rather than the needs without optimization of the lab processes. Now, looking at that, I personally feel that choosing any analyzer has to be based on the needs of the laboratory. So evaluation of needs is something which I value the most. Even if you see the definition of quality, so to say, is characteristics or features of a product or a service to meet the needs and expectations of the customers or users. So defining needs, I find most important, and usually I will go ahead with mapping of the workflow, workload analysis, of the existing workload analysis of the lab, because that is what, as you mentioned, that we have to do most of the times in batches. We have to run it in batches. We can't run it randomly or random access kind of analyzer. Secondly, that itself will give me an idea about what performance characteristic I should have in terms of general laboratory quality, what we mean by precision, accuracy, carryover, and those all kind of things. So usually I will follow a system, something like a Six Sigma, where it says define, measure, analyze, implement, and control. So same way I say evaluate your needs. That is the first thing. That will give me what kind of performance characteristics I need to have from the analyzer. Then identify the analyzer, or whether there are any alternatives on or not, and that will be my prerequisite for going for any kind of demo. And when I go for the demo, I will look at rest of the things like internal quality control, external quality assurance, even the service card, because it tells me a lot how frequently that machine falls, and that is how I am going to choose my analyzer. And last but not the least, but is all about peer group assessment. I would like to understand from my peer group or other people who are holding those analyzers how that analyzer is performing. Usually in my case, I go for anybody who has used the machine more than 3 years, because usually I consider that first year is more or less something like a honeymoon period. Everything is hunky dory. But actually, you start coming to know the pain points of any analyzer after 3 years.
Well, how would you if I say you would lose out on the first mover's advantage when you have a instrument, something which is available for you, and you said honeymoon period, you wouldn't want to consider?
So that's a risk. You get married, isn't it?
Yes, of course. I mean, that's
Here
something
you
which you
can
have
change
to
the analyzer.
take a call yourself.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. I think that was a very pertinent thing. Needs more than the desire is what you would try to look for. And considering, I mean, I'll take it to Dr. Mohanty now. Considering that in today's day and age, people actually try to integrate stuff, right? They want chemistry, immunoassay, like we heard about CRP in the morning. We also heard about CBC getting integrated into all this. And all of these investigations being taken together and then discussed, right? So if I ask you a question, how will you ensure your chemistry analyzer continues to meet the evolving needs of your system, and yet you will not add the burden of immunoassay directly onto the analyzer? Keep it as an independent activity, because we know that when we add immunoassay platform along with the chemistry analyzer, the TATs will go for a toss, right? So how do you look at it from that standpoint?
As he said, the lab can be micro, mini, small, medium, large. Now, based on that, what he said is correctly. You identify what kind of instrument you require. Now, if I go back a little beyond the scope of this discussion, now what is the need of this discussion? Why should we come to this discussion? What is the gap? Why we should know that? Actually, of late, last 3-4 years, because of government programs, various programs like Ayushman Bharat in various states, like in my state, the government assures an insurance of 5 lakhs, just 5 lakhs.
Yeah, please take your time.
Yeah, 5 lakhs for any kind of package, maximum 5 lakhs, and for ladies it is 10 lakhs. Now this scheme for state of Odisha, we disburse 300 crores per month. The project, the yearly budget is 6,000 crores. Now most of this money, it's taken away by the corporate hospital, big hospitals. But now the things are changing. In order to get this scheme, the hospital should have 20 bed, it should have an ICU, and it should have an OT. On the top of it, if it has an NABH or NABL, they'll get additional 30% revenue. Now, why I'm telling this? Slowly, these small hospitals, they will have their own lab, so that this package, they can, because package doesn't say how much money you are going to spend for an investigation or a radiological test. So he will get all the money. So slowly in next 2 to 3 years, you'll find these small hospitals, there's a great demand of instruments. And this instrument, what we saw today, there's a big market. There's a big market because of Ayushman Bharat, because of BSKY in my state, because of West Bengal. At present, there is if we say how many labs are accredited across India, it is, I think, 2,147 till January 2025.
Yes, that's right.
Right? 2,000 some odd.
Around 2,000. That's
Around
right.
2,000. And in Eastern India, the 5 states, we have only 96 labs. That means there is a demand for NABH and NABL both. And for the same reason, the NABL has put up an office in Calcutta. In Calcutta, there is an office. So that more number of these small hospitals will have their laboratories. And this is the right time to launch these kind of products. Small, compact, easy to maneuver, and all the NABL criteria needs to be fulfilled: IQ, OQ, PQ, linearity, precision, CV percentage, MU calculations. If everything is there, then this machine will be like an hotkey.
So I think you rightly put it across in the sense that, yes, there is a need for this kind of instrumentation.
Yes, there's a gap.
There's a gap at the moment, which you
Yes.
would like to fill by having this kind of instrumentation on place.
That's true.
And integrate perhaps not directly with the instrument, but have a parallel instrument, possibly for an immunoassay
Yes, so
platform
the-
when you have smaller workloads.
Right,
Am I
sir.
right?
So they won't send the sample to the chain labs or the satellite lab. They will try to keep everything with them
Yeah.
so that the entire bill they can generate. Because most of the time the packages is not complete without a lab report or an histopathology report. That, sir, you must know.
Yes, yes, of course. So I think that's a point very well taken. You look at it from that standpoint and take these instrumentations in the right places, especially in the context of where Ayushman Bharat and other things are kind of prevailing in the country at the moment. Let me just try and move a little from the so-called voluntary accredited laboratories, smaller laboratories, MELT program, etc. I'll move a little towards the regulated part of it, ma'am. And Dr. Gurpreet is here with us from the transfusion medicine side. She happens to be the one who's actually immunoassays are being performed in your centers and all the transfusion laboratories in general, primarily for the transfusion transmitted infection. And this is something which has been regulated by the government, right? By the CDSCO. Now, when we look at this particular area of testing, there is one peculiar thing which I have been coming across through my evolution also, and I'm sure all of you as well, where people will talk about the first generation and the second generation and the third generation, and today we talk about fourth generation and stuff like that, as far as the testing part of it is concerned. And we're talking primarily about immunoassays. How do these generations really kind of, do they have a generational effect, if I may say so? Or if I may call the fourth generation as the Gen Z, do you think that the Gen Z is like coming out in a big way and it's making a big impact? And how does this instrument place in such a setting?
Okay. So definitely, first of all, the immunoassays main role in transfusion medicine is in detecting TTIs. So we mainly deal with detection of HIV, hepatitis B virus, hepatitis C virus, and syphilis, malaria. So we are using various immunoassay tests. So we have been using ELISA's chemiluminescence immunoassay, then electrochemical chemiluminescence immunoassay, rapid immunochromatographic assays, and then confirmatory Western blot and line immunoassays. And so if we talk about the generations, so we have evolved from first generation to the fourth generation now, and definitely there has been a lot of advancement. Like first of all, there has been a huge reduction in the window period. So this window period is really important in detecting infective blood when we are talking about blood donors, because when we screen the donors, otherwise verbally, or we take the history, so many of them are not aware that they are already infected because they are in the window period, they're not having symptoms. So we are very particular that we need immunoassays which have shortest window period, and it has reduced drastically over the generations. So like if we talk about HIV, it has reduced from first generation it was 10 to 12 weeks, and now it is really less, and like less than 4 weeks now. So other than that, the window period has reduced. Then there is a increase in sensitivity and specificity,
Yeah.
which has reduced the false positives and false negatives to a great uh, length. So basically, definitely, if false negatives are being reduced, that is ensuring safety of blood. If we are talking about blood donations, and if we say the increased specificity. So because we were getting false positive, we still get false positive. So that leads to wastage of this precious blood of donors. So that has improved a lot. And with the combination immunoassays like antigen and antibodies, both are being detected now simultaneously. So it has increased the efficiency of testing. And also the automation which has been introduced now, so that has increased the efficiency in blood banks to a great length. And in future, if we are going to integrate like artificial intelligence with the automation, it is going to increase the efficiency and definitely the specificity even more.
Yeah, and I think if I may go a little bit further, with respect to especially the instrument which is available for you as a single test instrument, would it not be nice in a setting like yours, where a patient is coming for, say, pheresis, you don't have to put it in a batch and then test it and then take the patient up for, the procedure. I think that's where perhaps this instrument might find its place and space.
Definitely, chemiluminescence testing, like with this latest equipment, so that will be really helpful because we are already using chemiluminescence in our institute, and we are not running it in batches. So that is like all the tests are being run constantly. So, but like it was just told that the testing time will be few minutes. Like with our equipment, it is 60 minutes, which is a lot because the apheresis donors have to wait for a long time, and there is often this disturbance at the apheresis center because they are not ready to wait. With
Yeah.
this equipment, definitely with this shorter testing time, it will be really advantageous for the blood center as well as for the donors.
I think that places the equipment very clearly in a setting we're looking for a shorter turnaround time. I
Definitely,
guess.
it will
Yeah,
be
yeah.
really
Thank you.
advantageous.
Thank you. I think I'll go to Nitin now, considering that you've heard what the audience said earlier, as well as what we just heard from ma'am, with regard to something becoming more sensitive or more, and at the same time having significant specificity. It obviously leads us to a state where the instrumentation system, including the reagents, as well as their quality control and the participation in proficiency testing becomes of paramount importance. So if I may ask you, how do variations in your assay design, reagents, instrumentations, etc., impact the immunoassay results in harmonization? One. And number two, where is the difference between the reference reagents and how can we address them? Because again, for example, D-dimer itself becomes a major challenge many a times for us to kind of decipher as to what we're dealing with. Your thoughts on this?
So this is a very big topic for a debate, and if you want to have a debate, this topic can you can extend it for 45 minutes, and we all will have a varied opinions for that. So definitely immunoassay, if you compare it with regular biochemistry or hematology tests, is totally different because whenever there is introduction of antibody in the testing system, wherever there is antigen and antibody reaction happening, there are variabilities which are happening, and it is not constant. So when we talk about the variables, they are, as you said, they can be divided into the instrument part. They can be divided into the assay protocols, assay designs, and the reagents. When we talk about assay designs and reagents, they go hand in hand. So as you told in the beginning that we all started with immunoassay on the ELISA platform. Within the ELISA, there were plenty of procedures, like it could have sandwich ELISAs or competitive ELISAs, which have different, specificity and the sensitivity. And we are moving towards automation, where we want to negate all the manual procedure and everything is done by the equipment. Now, those variabilities are going down, but the problem is that each equipment is having a different protocol where they are using different reagents. In the reagents, there are different type of antigens and the different type of epitopes which have been targeted. And these epitopes can vary in the sense that the density of these epitopes is variable among in the same antigen, and the antibody which is against those epitopes can behave differently. They can have different specificity, they can have different affinity towards different epitopes. So that variability is always there. So there is no definite pattern or the definite epitopes which are targeted in all the equipment providers. So that variability always remains. Another point is that the type of chemistry which we use, we can use the dry chemistry, we can use wet chemistry. Within that, the variations are high. And again, that contributes towards the variability in the reference ranges and the results which we get. So all in all these things contribute towards some variabilities in the result, and hence reference ranges are different. Again, when we talk about reference ranges, um, it the it all depends upon the geographical and demographic things. So it is advised that you have your own reference range and everything which has been established within your lab, but it's not that easy because in fact, we are in tertiary lab. We are still following the reference ranges which have been provided by the manufacturers, because it's not easy to establish your reference ranges for all the age groups for male and female. Is practically impossible. All what we can do is we can do verification, but not the validation. So even if we have done the verification, that is fine enough. And when we talk about the variability in the reference ranges and all, another thing which is lacking is the reference plasma or reference serums for all these immunoassay tests. Like NPT and INR, we have a reference value. In the biochemistry, a traceable reference values are there. So that's why you can still compare glucose which is coming, glucose or PT or INR coming out of one lab and another lab, one equipment to another equipment. It's not possible in immunoassay unless until we have a reference point against which it can be tested. Another thing is calibrations. The calibrations are very important because each equipment or each manufacturer has its own calibration points. So according to that, the reference ranges are calculated. So I'll give you an example. For last around 12 years, we were using a reference range for vitamin B12, which was between 120 to 914. And recently we again calibrated it, but we did not get the same set of calibrators. Now we procured another set of calibrators which were on a higher side, and our reference range has changed from 210 to 1250 on the same equipment, on the same reagent. So that is the biggest thing, because and we would ask our industry partners to give a regular supply of a specific
more calibrated, if I may
calibrators.
call it so.
Yes.
So I think, Nitin, we have confused everyone further, right? So, but nevertheless, what I'll do is I'll take this question to Dr. Aparna now. You have quite a labs under your fold, and I think Krishna Diagnostics also has a lot of labs under its fold, but I'll come to you a little later. Ladies first. What I would like to know from you, madam, is how do you navigate the NABL 112 guidelines, especially in the context of what has changed in the recent past and what was existing in the previous 112 also? Considering the immunoassay part of it seems to be, as Nitin has already put it, damn confusing. What do we do?
So I think what do we do is a big question to everybody. Okay, let me be very candid here rather than diplomatic. What happens is, first of all, what he said, NABL is also realizing that as we are meeting them frequently, thanks to Kaho, that they have understood that 112 is something like a scary Pandora's box. Like he said, as we are assessees and assessors, we keep on asking these questions. Number one is this, it's a time bomb. Second is, if it's a big lab, he will have two equipments marrying each other. Wherever there is a marriage, there is a problem, mostly. And sometimes you have other children, that is hub and spoke model. So you have an X with the main house and Y with somebody else. So what about the harm? So 112 gives out the guidelines, but they are not practically possible. Okay, that's what we are voicing to them and saying. So that's number one. Number two is, NABL is also realized, what I understood is they are also getting very aggressive. Like we saw a big launch here, they are also launching. They are also saying, boss, okay, forget the 112 right now. If you are a big person like Anil Handu sir, or who can still manage all the resources and manage it, what about India, which is 2 and 3 cities primarily? They are now launching a thing which is Melt. Everybody knows. You will be surprised that it's like a strategy where Maharashtra, Telangana, and West Bengal, NABL is looking at getting into Melt, so that 112 is kept out right now. Enjoy the honeymoon period for 3 years. Then you sort out these issues and get into it. So 112 is really a
Difficult thing to
difficult thing
navigate,
to
I guess, at the
navigate.
moment. Yeah.
And they also know that. But I think, what is NABL finally? All of us who are in the board. So I
Yes.
think, yeah.
I think point well taken. It's not only important for us to understand that there is a guideline which has been given across, which if we want accreditation, we will expect, they'll be expecting us to adhere to it. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that we will not find an alternate mechanism of handling quality within our systems, right? I'll just come back to you, Dr. Rajiv, considering what she has told us, because she's again holding a lot of labs. You hold a lot of labs, again, a lot of them in public-private partnership model, isn't it? And in that, the challenge is maintaining a cost which is going to be, if I may use the term, peanuts, and at the same time ensuring that you still make money. How do you kind of balance and kind of tread this whole rope?
Yeah, I think it's a very tightrope that we actually walk.
Absolutely.
The complications in the system is with the kind of business that Krishna is in, and the kind of public-private partnerships that we actually engage in, there's so much of variation in it. So sometimes we're just with one hospital within a city, and sometimes it's the whole state. And though there are guidelines that are coming in from the Rural Health Mission, yet states are free to modify those guidelines as per their necessity
Local
or their
requirements.
need or their requirements. And accordingly, then the requirements change. And sometimes there's no logic to those requirements. And then you have to address, especially in state level, this thing, you need to have a collection center at PHC with a basic 4-5 tests happening there. Then you come to Taluka and you add another 10 or 15 tests over there. Then you come to district, and then you need reference labs. And the TAT is crazy, and the penalty is crazy. So it's and in all that, we have to make, they want us to do NABL, they want us to have qualified people there. The rules are very strict. So I think the name of the game is always numbers. So as long as we have those numbers, then we are squeezing then all the suppliers, all the equipment people to give us better rates and those kind of things. But then you can't always play with numbers, because the requirements are different in different labs. So the type of equipment, so for example, the equipment we saw today would probably be of some use to me in a taluka, but of no use to me in my reference or district hospital, because my throughput will be so high, my workload would be so high that this wouldn't even be like my backup.
Absolutely.
So it is a challenge. And the other problem is that no two PPPs give me the same set of tests.
Yeah.
So state A may want XYZ as their tests, and then state B will say ABC, and then there's another state which goes to 1, 2, 3. So it's always a game. We can never actually make it as simple as saying that for this kind of lab, we will have this kind of equipment, because the requirements change.
Yeah. Well, I think balancing this jugglery becomes a very, very challenging task. And
yes,
obviously the instrument like this has its own space, but probably at a stage where
Yes,
you're looking at
but it
smaller
would be
volumes.
of great use to be in a place like Himachal or Assam, where the terrain is such that sample transport becomes a challenge.
Yeah, rather the
When
machine
we
reaches
have,
there.
when we, you know, in Himachal and all, we lose power, we are in snow based this thing, this, you can't move samples across. Then I would prefer more standalone labs so that my TAT is maintained and my, there's no compromise. I collect a sample and I can't move it, then I know my quality is going down.
Yeah.
So then I prefer to overstaff or equip a particular lab because of these considerations.
Yeah, I think that's a pertinent point as well. I think I'll take it to Ajay now. And Ajay, we know that you come from Blal PathLabs, which is a national reference laboratory, a tertiary care, kind of quaternary care setup as far as the laboratories are concerned. And what we realize is that, in settings like that, it may not be really feasible to have a small instrument compared to a smaller setup. But having said that, our aim of this panel discussion today was exactly to get into the tier 2, the tier 3, etc., etc. And I know that you guys are there in such cities as well, just as the Vikrishna is there or Madam is already existing. What I wanted to understand from you and what our other panelists have already kind of echoed their views about this is, what are your emerging trends, needs, if I may put Parag's point in perspective, needs, not the greed part of it, the needs for the immunoassay testing for a small and a mid-sized laboratories, and how do you look at this, this curve going up, and how does it, eventually proceed, in your opinion?
Yeah, first of all, at the outset, I would like to thank Horiba for inviting me as a panelist. And secondly, my heartiest congratulations to Horiba for opening their wings and now coming into immunology. I think in the special chemistry and immunology is nothing but immunoassay. And I can say this because when you talk about the revenue of immunoassay in the Indian diagnostic market, in the year 2020, it was almost 250 million US dollars, which is expected to grow to around 500 million US dollars by the year 2028. And when we talk about tier 2, tier 3s, I think most of these questions have been answered by my co-panelists. But I want to address that when we are choosing a platform, a new platform in our satellite labs, I think when we are switching, especially from ELISA to CLIA, so this is a big challenge which we face, and I think we must have three things which are very, very common to keep in mind. Apart from a very, very high sensitivity and specificity, that instrument should have a good precision, the instrument should have a good scalability, a throughput part, and what I feel is that the problem of linearity and the problem of cross-reactivity. I think we must try to use a platform which avoids the cross-reactivity to avoid giving a false positive results. This is very, very important. And when I talk about linearity, now I will give an example of a small analyte TTG. So important for the diagnosis of celiac disease, we all know. Now, when we are testing TTG on ELISA, mind you, the ranges, they are going from 1,000, 10,000, 15,000, and even we are getting 20,000, but we have to dilute the sample when we're testing by ELISA, and the curve is going haywire. Now, switching this technology from ELISA to chemiluminescence, offering what? They were offering a high linearity and good reference ranges. So I think we need to choose the technology depending upon the scalability of the lab. It all depends upon the strategic investment. Of course, my fellow colleagues told that we have to balance technology, cost, quality, and TAT. That is very, very important. We should not compromise on quality. Number two, we should leave an option for scalability. That is very, very important. That tomorrow, if we happen to have a good workload, what is our projection for the next level? That is the scalability. That means also our satellite labs are in touch with the reference lab. Also, other small scale labs should be in touch with the references labs in order to have a scalability, in order to have good technology, awareness of new tests which are coming, new technologies which are coming, and special focus on quality. Aquas, I think Dr. Sukesh has very rightly focused on the peer review. And then continuous training is very, very important for all the technical staff, including the doctors. And last but not the least is the customer service.
Yeah, I think that's very nicely and clearly, kind of summarized what we wanted to take as an essence from this panel discussion. But I'll, change the gears a little, and now I open a question to all of you because, I'll give you an example of what happened with us in one of our discussions in the management, where one of our clinical colleagues, as Sir says, Dr. Sukesh says, we're all clinicians. So my clinical counterpart from endocrinology was desirous of having a hemoglobin A1C instrument in his OPD chamber. And then the nephrologist was interested to have a quick creatinine, available in his OPD chamber. So it seemed as though we were going to open about 5 or 10 labs within the same hospital. But the honest fact today is that point of care testing is here to stay. And mind you, it's picking up big way. Even in the main large reference labs, point of care testing does happen. We do, for example, we do those rapid cards and stuff like that. We may call it, a test done in the lab, but it's a point of care test for all practical purposes. So what I'm trying to ask, and it's open to all of you, is nowadays POCT has become extremely relevant, and that's what we see. What are critically important parameters in point of care testing which you would think that should be point of care? Number one. Number two, what in your opinions should be point of care testing as a parameter available in your respective settings, which becomes important and crucial for your client satisfaction? And finally, in such circumstances, how do you ensure quality? And why am I asking that question is again in the context of 112, because if you look at current 112, it is bizarre because it tells you that now you have to do card-based testing in the same batch after every 6th or 10th card. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So in that context, how do you all look at POCT? And please feel free, any one of you can just, give your opinion
So
on this.
what I feel, that's a very, very rightly question. Now what is happening is the labs are coming, that you can say the diagnostic tests are coming out of the lab to the doctor's chamber. Now we all know that 30 years down the line, Roche came with DROP-T. That is a very, very important cardiac marker. And for my personal experience, where I was in first MBBS at that time in 1993, 94, my father is a cardiologist. He used to use that DROP-T, and I don't saw that test coming false positive. So it dates back from 1993, 94, not only POCT in cardiac, moving to infectious. Now, very important that ma'am told that in blood banks, now you will never know whether the donor is in window period or not. The 4th generation cards, which detect the P24, is very, very valuable and an asset. We should not forget our blood glucose monitoring machine. PTINR, I think. PTINR, another. Point of care testing is moved with some, when during the COVID-19, even D-dimer. POCT was available for the D-dimer part also. So I think POCT has a major role, and labs are also thinking in terms to train their scientific officers or the phlebo to perform these POCT, and they can go to the patient, collect the blood, do the POCT test, and then give the report. I think this is the future, might be the use of POCT to me.
Dr. Mohanty, you want to say something?
Actually, I want to add. Once we say POCT, it is clear 1998. Long back it was described what POCT should be. Now it is high time they are going to change it. And what I am thinking is in the next 4 to 5 years, it will be a disruptive technology. The entire proteomics, these metabolic end products, intermediate end products will be of minimal use. Rather, proteomics, less of genomics will be coming into the play. So 112, what he says, page number 104, if I remember correctly, it is describing, it is not saying how you are going to calibrate or how you are going to give your report. It is saying this is the way it should be done. Now, in subsequent publications, you will find...
I wish that's how it was accepted by people in general, but most of the assessors, when they'll come, they will not ask you like that. They'll say, it's written here, just do it. So that's where the biggest challenge comes with respect to the whole thing.
That is the spirit,
That is
not the intent.
No, I think I will not. I'm interrupting him because it should not be misconstrued like this. I completely stand on the side of Dr. Anil Handu, because most of the setups which I have are in tier 2 cities where we have POCTs, and we went for NABL melt. Okay, but one of the labs I have gone for NABL, and the same question, which was questioned because we are also on the committee. So it's not like that. It is once it is written in 112, it is taken as given. I think all of us, though the discussion is not, but there is one point which Dr. Handu has put as NABL and biochemistry. How do you go? So the point here is all of us should again go back and write. We did give our feedbacks that this is not practically possible. As he said, finally we have to look at the quality, but also the customer satisfaction. If I'm going to run after every 5 cards, it's going to impact my cost, sir.
Absolutely.
I'm giving you TAT, but I'm also going to charge. If I'm sitting in a 5-star hospital, I can still bill you. What about India, which is in 2 and 3 cities? Can we do that? Then we'll have to give away with NABL.
Quick stuff from you before
Quick
we
stuff,
put it to the audience.
I have a lot to speak. So in every presentation, when you give, you always say it's important who is the man behind the machine.
Absolutely.
Right? And when you give a POCT to a physician who is sitting in the emergency, he does not have any time to maintain the quality of that equipment, nothing. So if it is under the control of lab, still POCT is a good thing to give only for those tests which are really needed. Like cardiac markers, beta ECG, yes, they are needed, specifically needed in the emergency. But when you talk about procalcitonin and they ask for CRP in the emergency, it's not going to change the management. They can wait for it. They can start the antibiotic after 1 hour also. They can wait for 1 hour. But for cardiac markers, beta CG, yes, they need.
I think we're going against the previous panel, so we'll not really get into it. But I'll just throw the entire thing open to the audience now. And anybody wants to give a feedback or give any questions or ask any questions here? Anybody?
I have got a question.
Oh, the panelist himself. Wonderful. Go ahead.
See, what I used to find is the tacrolimus assay. When you do it in LSMS, there's a different report. When you do it in Cabelomus, there's a different report. And I used to face this problem very often. Now, how are you going to address that? I mean, this comes the LCMS report.
Okay, so as far as the tacro part of it is concerned, we are.
Yeah.
And the clinician does not want to waste any time on that.
So fortunately, the panel was only addressing the questions with regard to Tier 2 and Tier 3. We are yet to reach that stage in Tier 3. Of course, Tier 2, some of the cities have started transplants. We know that. And tacrolimus there becomes important. But fortunately, in those centers, they already have either devices to do it or mechanisms to handle the testing. We'll not really get into that because we are short on time now. I think we shouldn't be really pushing it too far.
Dr. Handu,
But any
finally,
questions?
Just to add, yeah, somebody behind actually. So, it's coincidentally, just a couple of days back, I incidentally happened to be the dean of a medical college and we have a 1600 bed hospital running under me. And we do not have POC anywhere in the hospital. And my director just 2 days back asked me this thing, why don't we have ePOC at least in the emergency? And point blank, I said, no one's willing to take responsibility.
Yeah.
I think when you have a machine, there needs to be someone who says, I am the
custodian for that. Yeah,
you don't get that with clinicians or even with nurses or with anybody. And then.
So having said that, I'll just add a little bit to it before we end the discussion because I don't see any questions coming from that side. There's a very interesting thing about point of care testing in majority of the tertiary care hospitals, especially the ones which are going for NABH today. And I'm not even talking about JCI because of course JCI is far more stringent on that. The interesting thing is the entire activity of point of care testing happening across the hospital at any stage, at any place is directly under the responsibility of the laboratory director. And then the lab director ensures that he has his set of people to handle that point of care testing. I think that's where the entire amalgamation takes place. If you want to add anything, and then we'll
So,
close.
sir, regarding POCT, my experience for glycosylated hemoglobin, that is so common investigation now. I tried to compare on different platforms vis-a-vis HPLC, and the kind of variance I got within the model itself, I started thinking what kind of certification NGSP is having. If all these methods or all these instruments say that we are NGSP certified and there is variation, there is no repeatability, so to say, or very wide repeatability, expectation or acceptance by general public is going to go down. I myself do not have that kind of faith or confidence in POCT.
I can imagine, but nevertheless, I think that's a thought for some other time. Thank you very much. I think there's a question there. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Because I raise upset, and I am MD pathologist, and I did my MD in 2002, and there was no formal training received in my medical institute regarding biochemistry and immunology. I think most of us have same background. And I landed in one of the reference lab in Ahmedabad. And coming back to the point, according to me, immunology is facing many big challenges. POC is a not answer for that. There are card reader are also coming. So if you say this is the solution for this is not going to happen. Another thing, there are certain similar assay, per se example, IgE was initially on immunoassay, now it is done on biochemistry assay also. So there is great shift. And I must know, because most of the pathologists don't know, you have to marry 2-3 wives if you want to run a good immunology lab. You cannot work with only Abbott.
I think the lady is taking offense to it. Why not too many husbands?
Because Abbott has less limitation, Siemens has limitation, HIV, HBS, AG, licensing is so critical. Every big player, they have issue every 3-4 years. And you big people will shift their assay to another assay. Then the near challenge is started. Now bigger manufacturers are giving only workstation. So there will be a huge demand, or there is shift that they are not giving single immunoassay. So the whole things are so much complicated, and we think that this is the only solution. According to me, it is not going to there. There are so many changes coming on immunology assay, and most of the pathologist and lab director, they are not dealing the technicality. Then there is a price. One big company say, I am cutting my, and everybody, big players, they will target only B12 and vitamin D. And people sitting in Sar Gangaram or some hospital has nothing to do with that. But tier 2 and tier 3 has major thing to do with that. Why I should go for a test of TSH, which is costing me 60 rupees when it is B2B available at 40 rupees. So there are so many things we need to understand and discuss. There are so many regulations are coming. So according to me, all the things are coming in a big way, and pathologists are just saying, this is not my department, there are so many things are going from pathologists. POG is going to, we have to find another things also. So I just want to enlighten that this is
I think your point is very valid and well taken. I understand that there are numerous variables. We saw that up front when I asked the questions to start with during the panel discussion. We realized that. And we also understand the point that, there are lots of areas where there is deficiency of training as a part of our pathology curriculum. Very well placed. I think that's a pertinent point as well. Yes.
TROP-T is I don't think, if some clinician asks in Ahmedabad, I say go for TROP-I. See, I cannot have a Roche all the time.
Fair. I think, look, I mean, at the end of the day, I get your point, sir. For the want of time, I'll just, try and summarize what you just said. I understand that your point is valid, that yes, we need to have a balance of what we want to take. And again, from the industry side also, we are expecting certain partnerships which are coming along. If you look at the instrument which has been unveiled today, what's very obvious, we are trying to do a test from a single sample on a single cartridge-based instrument. Now, the menu of that may be small at this moment of time, But who stops the menu from becoming expanded one? It's just a matter of time. And again, as far as the antigen and antibody affinity, avidity, etc. is concerned, I understand that immunology space is ever evolving from where we started 20 years ago to where we are today. You know, it's really a long evolution which has happened. But your point is very well taken, sir. I think the industry partners are here. They're already understanding it. We had a beautiful
Thank you.
panel, you know, which told us about it. Yes, Dr. Ravi, please. Mike.
Not really for, like you can say, tier 2, tier 3. Is today is being used in tier 1 and a
Absolutely.
bigger hospital also.
Absolutely.
It has got a huge acting application. And number 1. Number 2, you can't get away with this, come what may, whatever it is. That's equally important. You have to be, you use those POCT. All you're doing is to define what do you want, which hospital wants, what category you want, what test you want, what assay. So we can't get away with it. So I think rightly you mentioned, we have, I think, the clause in the NAPL also, and in the CAP also. POCT, there has to be a hospital have to appoint something as a medical director for POCT. It could be a pathologist, a medical director for POCT. Because POCT is not only in your lab, it could be in ICU, casualty, mobile, home care. It could be all across.
Absolutely.
This is important, number 1. Number 2, how do you make sure that their quality? This challenge will always be there. What you said, variation will happen. What you need to do is probably integrate them in technology. All your POCT equipment should have a cloud-based link to your lab system where you can continuously monitor what exactly is happening journey. And lastly, most important is, I think for the manufacturers, I think we all take air conditioners, the AMC and CMC. We don't even talk about a AMC, CMC of any of these glucometers or issues are being used at home today and in the smaller instrument. I think there should be some kind of external quality assurance program which should be running for these things, which somebody should be responsible. One of the major labs, maybe in a tier 1 city or a tier 2 city, that could be a small group can be formed. You bring your instrument, get it validated every quarterly, and probably go back. And these are the 3 solutions. And most last important to pathologists, I think it's time for pathologists to look beyond labs. You have to go outside your lab. Decentralized diagnostic is going to happen, will happen. Without that, today, it's not a solution. We have to work it balance out. So we have to devise a new role along with our lab, decentralized testing. That's what I want to put across.
I think very well summarized, sir. Thank you very much for those valuable insights and inputs. I think we would call it a day now for the program. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much, all of you, for being such a wonderful panel, giving answers to such intricate and complicated yet kind of questionable questions. And at the same time, thank you, audience, for listening to us patiently. And if there's anything you still want to discuss with us, we are still around. And we will be having, I'm sure, dinner, etc. And thank you very much, Horiba, for giving us this opportunity today. Thank you once again.
And thank you, Dr. Handu, for driving it brilliantly. Well, I request the panelists to stay with us, and I invite Saito-san to please join us and present a small token of our appreciation to the panelists and our moderator, please. Welcome in, sir. If I may please invite the panelists to please join us for a group picture. Saito-san, for a group picture, please, with our panelist. And with this, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the end of the first leg. Before we get on to our rewards and recognition ceremony, we wish to all gather together on the stage for a group picture. So we request you to please be with us while we get all of us together for this group picture together. So we will take some time to set the stage and get this ready. So please do not refrain from going out. We will be getting into a break after this. But before that, we will all get together for a group picture. In this, if I could request the panelist and Saito-san, if you can stay with us, we'll do the group picture. While I invite Dr. Gautam also to please join in. If I could also invite the HORIBA leadership to please step in. Mr. Dennis, and I have others as well. If I could please invite all of you to please step in. And aap rakh ke aa sakte ho, sir. If you want to keep it, I will invite you back anyways. We'll all be doing a group picture. So if you wish to keep it and come back. So we will take a little moment while we set this up, ladies and gentlemen. As we have mentioned that all of us will get together for the group picture. Our team is working double time to ensure that we are all settled in the right posture. Post which, while I keep you informed, we will be taking yet another 30-minute break. But outside in this break, there is much that is lined up for you. There is a demonstration zone. There is a brilliant photo opportunity, which we will definitely invite you to be a part of. And also, there is a Safa tying ceremony, because post which we want to get into the recognition ceremony, and it starts from right there. Though it is volunteer, but we'll invite as many of you who could be a part of this and wear the Safa when you come back in for the rewards and recognition ceremony. So that will be something which we would highly request of all of you. So please join us for that. So if I could kindly now please invite all the dignitaries to please join us in as well. All the dignitaries, all our customers, all of you. Aap sab log hamare liye dignitaries ho, sir. Please, ladies, gentlemen, we request all of us to now start joining in. I will request the HORIBA team to help me with this. We request the dignitaries now to please join us on the stage. Sir, please. If I could please invite all the panelists to please be seated. Hotel team, if I can have a couple of more chairs here. Hotel team. Hotel staff. So a few of us who are standing at the back, we've got some more chairs. You can start proceeding and please settle in the front as well. So there are more chairs. You could come here. A few of us could stay there in a single file. Everybody in a double file, please come and take your seats. All right, thank you. That's it. Okay, so now we're all together. Okay, Horiba team, if we can all be out of the frame, please. ठीक है? All right, thank you, everybody. So let's do this together now. One on the count of three, action. We give a big, big smile to the center camera. 1, 2, 3, action. Say, Horiba. Give me a big, big cheer on that. Fantastic. Let's do some fun action as well. Give me a thumbs up, everybody. Give me a thumbs up. 1, 2, 3, action. Everybody with a thumbs up. 1, 2, 3, action. Convert the thumbs up to a victory. 1, 2, 3, victory. 1, 2, 3, victory. All right, apologies, but we do all this one more time, one more time. Brilliant. This is your second chance. 1, 2, 3. Give me a big smile, everybody. Say Horiba. Give me a big, big smile. The second one, let's do a thumbs up one more time. 1, 2, 3. Give me a thumbs up, everybody. Thank you. Brilliant. Convert the thumbs up into a victory now. This is the last picture. 1, 2, 3. Victory. Brilliance. And one for the video. Can we make a big round of applause and a noise? Actually, don't make applause. Let's make a big, big noise. Show that energy. 1, 2, 3, action. Fantastic, fantastic. One more time, you want to do this with little more energy, just 20% more energy. 1, 2, 3, action. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining us in this evening, ladies and gentlemen. We will join us back in 30 minutes when we get into our rewards and recognition ceremony. But I invite you to join us for yet another cup of tea. This time, also do remember to experience our demo zones, which are lined up outside in the balcony area, and also a wonderful photo opportunity, which we definitely invite you to please get yourself clicked and take a souvenir for this event. But we join you right back in after the SAFA ceremony as well, which is outside, for the rewards and recognition and some entertainment, of course, that we join you back in. And I also have a set of Medicine Monterre FX. If there is someone that this belongs to, please take it up from Saurav, who has the medicines here. Thank you.